There are some places in this world that even the bravest of souls fear to tread, haunted locales that have become synonymous with death, despair, and unspeakable evil. And now it's time to take a journey into the abyss once more, as we count down the creepiest real-life hauntings in history. Part 2. Number 7. The Brown Lady of Raynham Hall. When you think of the most famous ghosts in history, one of the first that might spring to mind is the so-called Brown Lady of Raynham Hall. And indeed, the spectre haunting this particular location has gone down in history as one of the most photographed apparitions of all time. However, unlike many other ghostly encounters, there are actually 3 separate photographs that appear to capture the ethereal essence of the lady in question. As such, no one can deny the legitimacy of her haunting. These photos were taken at different times by different people, yet they all seem to show the same woman dressed in 18th century clothing. What makes this haunting especially terrifying, though, is that we know who the Brown Lady was when she was alive. Her name was Dorothy Walpole, and she lived in the 1700s. She was known for having an affair with one of the servants in the home. But after becoming pregnant with his child, her lover had her secretly lobotomized. Poor Dorothy died as a result of the procedure, and it is believed that her spirit has been trapped within the halls of her former home ever since. Number 6. The Ghost Ship. Of all the various maritime museums that are scattered across our planet, one of the most eerie and unsettling is the Mary Celeste. Why? Well, because this particular vessel isn't just any old ghost ship. It is the actual skeletal remains of a vessel that was found adrift at sea back in 1872. Not only that, but when the ship was discovered, it was filled with cargo and its crew's belongings. Yet no trace of the crew themselves could be found anywhere. To make matters even stranger, almost 150 years later, divers exploring the wreck discovered that there were also several large holes in the ship's floor. This suggests that whoever scuttled the ship did so from within. But why? And what happened to the crew? These questions have never been answered, leaving us to wonder if the crew met their end in some sort of terrible accident, or if something far more sinister was truly at play here. No. 5. Alcatraz Island. We live in a world where there are countless abandoned locations that have been left to crumble and decay. However, few are quite as infamous as Alcatraz Island. For those of you who don't know, Alcatraz was once home to one of America's most infamous prisons, which housed some of the country's most notorious criminals, including Al Capone himself. However, when the prison was finally closed down, it was rumored that the spirits of the inmates remained trapped within the cold concrete walls. And since then, thousands of tourists have come forward claiming that they've not only seen the ghosts of the former prisoners, but they've heard their voices and even felt their icy cold touch. What's more, guards claim that strange lights can often be seen flickering around the cells at night, and disembodied footsteps can be heard echoing through the corridors. Number 4. The Ghosts of the Whaley House. There are very few places in America that are quite as creepy as the Whaley House, and that is mainly due to the fact that it is widely regarded as being the most haunted house in the United States. The ghosts of over 20 former residents are said to haunt the property, meaning that anyone who dares to enter the abode is running a good chance of encountering a spirit or two. In fact, there have already been countless reports of paranormal activity occurring within the home, including apparitions of former residents, disembodied footsteps, shaking beds, doors opening and closing by themselves, phantom crying, and even full-blown ghostly weddings. That last one is particularly eerie, as the apparition of a little girl can be seen dancing in a ghostly wedding gown. Visitors have also reported seeing the ghost of Thomas Whaley himself walking around his former home, and even interacting with people. It seems that this particular resident is very much attached to his former residence and has no plans of moving on anytime soon. Number 3. The Ancient Ram Inn. If you're someone who appreciates the finer things in life, then chances are you'll enjoy staying in a nice hotel every now and again. But few hotels are as historical and as haunted as the Ancient Ram Inn, located in Gloucestershire, England. Making it nearly 900 years old, and throughout its long existence, it's gained quite the reputation as being one of the most haunted buildings in the country. Reports of spectral sightings here date back centuries, with guests claiming to have seen everything from witches to ghosts to demons. The place is considered to be such a hotbed of paranormal activity, in fact, that psychic researchers regularly visiting in to try and get to the bottom of it. However, they've had little success in doing so. In fact, some researchers have even claimed that they were unable to stay in the building for longer than 15 minutes due to the sheer amount of dark energy it contains. So if you're afraid of ghosts and demons, then you should probably avoid booking a room here anytime soon. Number 2. Amityville Horror House. It goes without saying that there are very few locations in the United States that are quite as infamous as the Amityville Horror House. Back in 1974, 6 members of the DeFeo family were brutally murdered in their home. And ever since then, people have claimed that the house is incredibly haunted. In fact, the ghost story surrounding this property is arguably even more terrifying than the tale of the murders themselves. Numerous people have come forward over the years claiming to have seen ghosts wandering around the home, including the ghosts of the DeFeo children. Others have claimed to hear screams and cries echoing through the empty halls, suggesting that the spirits of the murdered family are forever tormented by what happened to them. Number 1. The Tower of London. Although it might not look like much these days, the Tower of London was once one of the most important buildings in the entire country. For over 300 years, it served as a royal palace, a prison, and even the execution ground for many high-profile figures. As such, it should come as no surprise that the tower is now widely regarded as being one of the most haunted buildings in the UK. Some of the most famous ghosts are said to haunt the tower include Anne Boleyn, King Charles II, and Henry VIII. Others claim that the spectral hound of King Henry VIII can sometimes be seen roaming around the grounds. Some say that the ghosts of 2 small children who died in the 1530s can also be seen playing near the wall of the tower. But perhaps the most disturbing rumor of all is that the ghost of Margaret Clitheroe can sometimes be seen kneeling in prayer within the chapel of St. Peter Adving. Now, it's time to make your voice heard. Comment below which of these real-life hauntings creeped you out the most. If you want to see more short videos like this one, then check out the rest of my content. But as always, thanks for watching. There are some more videos on screen right now that I think you might like. You know what to do. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one.